Here you go, man. Finish the song.
You did.
Tim Walsberg, Inside Reel. Dave, Pat, Chris, how you doing?
Tim, how you doing?
Last time I think I talked to you guys, I think you, Dave, specifically, was Sound City out at Sundance, and then that concert with Stevie Nicks and everybody, which was awesome.
That was so fun.
Now, because with this, I mean, you guys have always had a great sense of humor, but, taking into the horror genre, obviously your love of Carpenter, Evil Dead, Exorcist, all that plays in here. Could you talk about the love of that kind of movie and how that you wanted to sort of play it in here? Because obviously it's influenced by real life with that, where you recorded the album.
Yeah, I mean, as a kid growing up listening to rock and roll, I think, once you've gotten through the Beatles and the classic rock and the Rolling Stones, and then you find Alice Cooper, and then you find Kiss, and then that like turns into your comic book fantasy, and you're starting to go see horror films, and you're watching Friday the 13th and The Exorcist and the Amityville Horror. It's like, it's kind of part of being a kid in the 70s, I think. And then, there's also the band movie thing, like bands like Kiss meets the Phantom of the Park, or the Ramones, like Rock and Roll High School, things like that. Band movies, there's something cool about seeing your favorite band as an ensemble on screen acting out something that probably would never happen. It's just like for entertainment's sake, and that's about it. But yeah, I mean, I grew up listening to punk rock and underground heavy metal and death metal. So that like spooky evil imagery, I've always kind of, it's gone hand in hand with music to me. And we had never like dipped our toes in this kind of thing before, but this just sort of fell in our laps. And we thought like, all right, why not? Let's just go for it.
Foo Fighters, you gotta get me a record.
It's our 10th album. We gotta break the mold on this one. Let's go somewhere we've never been.
This place is amazing.
Do you guys get this overwhelming sense of death? Ooh. Doesn't really seem like the right fit.
Whoa, it's rad. That was weird.
The sound of this house is the sound of album 10.
I mean, for you, Chris, Pat, I mean, because you guys recorded Medicine at midnight at this house, then you shot a film there. What was it like coming back and sort of experience? Because I heard there was some strange occurrences that happened during recording anyway.
Well, what I like is Dave was talking, you guys were both talking about these movies, the old rock and roll movie. And as you were saying this, I was thinking, well, they all did that when they were really young and just coming up, whether it's Purple Rain or Spice Girls or the Beatles, whoever it was. And we didn't do that.
No.
But to your question, Chris is there ready for the answer.
Yeah, this isn't helping us get established. It's going to kill us off. Yeah, it was a trip. It was after we made the record, coming back to it after they had sort of like redressed the house for a horror movie was pretty bizarre in itself. It just all got a lot shittier and spookier, and the pool got nastier, and you know what I mean?
Well, even funnier is that it was a recording. We turned it into a recording studio to make the album. And then all that stuff came out, and they were making a movie. So they bring in a bunch of fake recording gear to mimic the recording studio we just had, which was, I'm like, oh, this is a taste of Hollywood wastefulness. Like, let's not use the real thing. Let's get that out of here and get some fakes.
Well, that's so funny, because I always wondered growing up, like, when you'd see bands in movies and that sort of thing, I'd be like, that's not even his guitar. Like, what the
Yeah.
And then in our movie, it was like, but that's not my amp. Like,
It wasn't our guitar.
Who made this decision?
Yeah.
All right, you guys. Amps, living room.
Let me apologize in advance for all the rock we're about to make.
Got a couple of ideas I've been working on. I'll lay them on you.
Dude, wait. It's called Everlong, and you wrote it about 20 years ago.
How you feeling? Everything okay?
Ever since we moved into this house, my mind is flooded.
We all have writer's block.
This is not just a creepy rock and roll house. But it allows spiritual entities to cross into our world.
But you guys, I mean, the thing is that the humor is so Foo. It's awesome because it plays to that. You guys got the timing down, and I mean, but that's what being a band's all about. Is just having that thing when you guys are jamming inside that room. I'm like, this is just can be a badass horror movie no matter what. But you guys have the humor. Could you talk about balancing that? Because it takes into account all your different sort of personas, you know?
Well, we spend a lot of time together, as in like we've spent a quarter of a century together. So like that dynamic that you see on screen, that's not something that we really had to create. I mean, we had to read some lines from a script and stuff. But as far as putting like the six of us in a room, it's just gonna be fun. Like it just always is. But going in to make an album, actually one of the screenwriters, Rebecca, she came in and hung out while we were making the record so that as she was writing the script, she'd understand that dynamic a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, like here's the premise of the film. Okay, you're gonna go make a record. Like, all right, we know how to do that. It was the horror stuff. That was the hardest part. Like acting like you're eating your band member, that's not something I ever imagined.
Was that the story that you came up with? Because it was based on your initial story, right, Dave? Or...
Well, the initial idea was that we move into a funky old house without any idea that this place is haunted, and things start happening and you don't know why, and then it turns out that I'm possessed and I murder the whole band. That was the original idea. And then it just kind of snowballed from there.
I'm pretty handy on a grill.
Yeah, you like your meat charred and dry.
He does make a killer barbecue.
What do we do?
We go save his ass.
Is the album almost done?
Yeah, it's killer.